the end of the day.
It's Mel.
And me. You wanna know
How we did it.
You wanna know how we do it. You wanna know
How we
we're
doing
doing
it.
Welcome to the Mel and Me podcast.
At the end of the day.
Hello world.
Hello.
No matter what I come up with, you're gonna have your thing.
Yes, of course.
So we back again.
We are.
Back again. We're gonna go ahead and get right into this thing. This is episode 10. And they say that, if you can make it through 10 episodes, I guess, like we said earlier when we first started this thing, that when we were watching, so you want to do a podcast type stuff, we found that they would say stuff like, most people don't make it past 10. So this is number 10.
And
we've been
here.
in this thing. Yeah, we've been in this thing like a couple months now, a little bit more than a couple months. So, we haven't run out of material.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. Of course, I don't think we could ever really run out of material. It's just a matter of what we want to talk about, because we talk all the time about any and everything.
Right.
So, there you go. But episode 10, not going to spend too much time recapping the last episode. I think we want to kind of move beyond that so that people are not, although we would like for them to go back and look at other episodes and stuff like that. I don't feel the need for us to kind of bridge episodes between each other,
Right.
So we're just going to get right into this one. Episode 10 is going to be called Facing Your Mortality. Facing Our Mortality.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things where I have the Y inside parentheses so we can kind of doubly use the word your and our, So, but yeah, that's what it is. And, it's something I think that you and I on different occasions, we kind of get into discussions about at different points and stuff. And so I think it's something that, that a lot of us, we don't like to think about, but it's something that's there nevertheless.
Yeah.
Right. And so, why not talk about it? So I think, like right about now, I think the timing of this episode is appropriate. Because we are next week, in fact a week from today. Of course, by the time this airs, we will have already been there. We'll be in process, but the timing of this episode is, I think, appropriate because we're getting ready to travel abroad. We're getting ready to go across the water again.
Anything can happen.
For 15 hours. Yeah, you stole my thunder. So, but that's basically it, because oddly, just today, as a matter of fact, we're picking up the boy. So today, I went and picked up my son and took him to an activity for one of his college classes. And of course, he's on campus, but fortunately he's still fairly close by where we can get to him. And so today he had an activity, and I had to take him because he doesn't drive. And so, in the course of, after I picked him up, I was trying to convince him to come here, obviously, because I told him, I was like, you haven't been home in over 2 months. It's been 2 months now since he left.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I was telling him, I said, I really would like for you to stop by the house. That way I can just cut your hair and I don't have to come to campus and do it, tomorrow and stuff. And then in that moment, I thought about it. I said, I told him, I said, I think your mother would be glad to see you, since it's been a couple months since she last saw you. And then I say, and I kind of hesitated, to say it, but it was just a very real moment that I felt I needed to say it. I say, especially given the fact that, we're traveling next weekend.
Yeah.
And I said, I hate to even bring this up. I said, but, this is the world that we live in. I say life is unpredictable. And I say, we're getting ready to get on a plane and we're getting ready to fly, go across the ocean.
And this would be the first with you and I.
And as I told him, I said, do you know that this is the first time that me and your mother will travel by ourselves, and we're leaving you behind.
Because we typically don't do that.
No, we never had that situation because I
You
mean,
don't
if
do
something
it.
bad is going to happen,
Right.
we can all go together. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy when you look at it that way, but
Yeah.
I mean, you have to kind of look at things that way, And so I told him, I said, and the thing was, as I was saying it to him, his whole mood just kind of changed
Oh,
because
really?
I think, he was like, he was just like. Almost like he got sad for a moment,
Right,
because
right.
I think he just went to
The
that place
realization, yeah.
that because he didn't think about it, right?
Yeah.
And I just had to break real with him and like,
Yeah.
dude, I was like, we're traveling together next week, and I said that we hope and pray that we make it there and back safely.
Right.
I said, but the truth of the matter is, if something goes wrong, I was like, man, you're here in college, and it's all on you at this point, and you have you
sister.
and your sister. It's like, and I just kind of left it hanging right there and didn't get into it too deeply.
Right.
But and in that moment, he was in that realization, and he was like, "Wow, I never stopped to think about this."
Yeah.
My parents are both getting ready to hop on a plane, and they're getting ready to leave me, and there's a chance that they may not come back to me, and I could very well be on my own in another week.
Yeah.
When you think
could be
about that,
scary.
and
I know
most
scary
people,
family is scary for me.
we don't think about those things, people. But I think in those terms. I think in those terms all the time. As a matter of fact, and it's one of those things that it can come off as being a bit paranoid, and it's all paranoia until we are upon those moments, and these are just things that can really happen, in real life. This is, as people say, in real life, right? This is in real life type stuff, and so you have to take and address these things.
Oh yeah.
And so I took that opportunity. In a way, it was kind of to motivate him to say, you know what, I need to go home.
Yeah.
Let me stop by the house and see my mom and get this haircut.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was just in that moment I was like, I felt like I had to go there with him because that's something that's a wake up moment for him.
Yeah.
And of course we'll discuss some of our own wake up moments ourselves, but and that was just a few hours ago that I had that discussion with him in the car. And it just made me think, and in a way at the same time it does, I mean, even being who I am at this point in my life, being a so-called mature adult, it can even shake you.
Yeah.
It even shakes me.
That's why he told me, but before he left, he said, "Be safe on your trip."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he told me before y'all left.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just very real stuff, man. And we never know, man, the cards that life can deal us.
Nope.
At any given time, and this can be for any of us, man. So I think we have to take those moments and embrace those moments. Take advantage of them.
Yes.
So yeah, first time us traveling together alone, and and everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I'm still looking forward to all the great things that lie ahead. With our trip over.
Yes.
So you have anything that you come to your mind in this moment before we move on?
No, not right now.
Okay, so I have a sip of tea to wet my whistle.
Yes,
wet my whistle.
I've already wet mine.
Especially after that little rather serious moment right there, because that is one of those surreal moments. Which let's get into talking about realism. I mean, that's really where we are right now. Realism versus surrealism, or realism and surrealism around this particular topic, because it's something that you have to be real about, because our mortality is something that's guaranteed to each and every one of us.
Oh yes.
Science hadn't gotten to the point.
No one lives forever.
Right. Science hasn't reached the point to where we can. Right. Who knows? It may one day, and even if technology gets to that point, I doubt it. I mean, who would want to live forever?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know that I would want to live forever if I could. Do you continue to age, or do you age at a certain point? So many unanswered questions that you just stay looking the same all the time, where your body functions the same all the time.
I highly doubt
just
it,
all
but
that crazy stuff. Of course, Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, they're taking and using some of their wealth now to,
I heard about that.
invest into medicine and technology, because they want to eradicate all disease by the end of this century or something. Of course, they won't be here to see that.
Right, exactly.
But nevertheless, they are committing their money to that cause. Is it possible? Who knows?
Yeah.
But again, the very real aspect, is that, like you said, you know, each of us are going to have our day. The aging process takes hold of us as we're aging, as everybody out there is aging, and that's just a very real thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Aging, illness, accidents.
yeah,
It's a number.
yeah, and then we live in a world where the world is unpredictable.
Right.
Especially here in these United States.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go out there and not make it home for any number of reasons. Whether it be the
That'd be mine
crime.
when I leave out. Even just if I'm going to the gym, to the grocery store, I'm always thinking, am I going to be in a real bad accident and just not walk away? Because I literally was just watching. It was on the news when I was in the gym. I could not believe it. A car hit another car and the car flipped like so.
Today?
It was the day before yesterday. It was
Okay.
horrible. I was looking like, oh my god, and so that's a big fear of mine is because accidents, these people are driving,
Yeah.
half of them
You
can't
can't
drive,
control
they're
what other
driving
people are doing.
crazy. I mean, even when we was coming back yesterday, the guy that was getting ready to turn out and
Oh
you had
yeah,
that could have been a whole
absolutely.
situation
It
right
would have been a
there.
broadside situation because
Yeah.
he's not paying attention and in a rush.
That's a big fear of mine because I'm like, then I'll be the one dead and the person who hit me, they walking away just fine.
Right.
Typically, that's how it turns out.
Yeah, you can't account for other people. So we have that, and like we were saying, just with the crime aspect of things,
Yeah.
man. Just everybody's wilding out here, man. People put a gun up to your
Oh,
head
yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah.
If it's not somebody who doesn't like you because of the way you look or the color of your skin,
They're trying
or
to steal something from you.
they want to they want to put a bullet in your head for a few dollars and a cell phone.
Or your car.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
or a car. Something that's going to get you from point A to point B.
Right.
Of course, they want to take it and sell it
Sell
for
it.
parts or whatever, so
Right.
they can put some money in their pocket and go blow on some name brand items so that they can feel like they're somebody.
Right. Meanwhile, you
know.
done took a life.
Yeah. So it's just there's just so much out here, man, that are part of that equation, man, that just
Yeah.
make our mortality, very real and unpredictable at any time. And then, let's not take into account, of course, we'll talk about this, it's just illness and stuff like that with all the crazy stuff going on in our environment, that affect our health, the food and
Yes.
all that kind of
all
stuff.
that.
It's
just
like
crazy.
everything's trying to kill you out
It's
here.
just, growing up, when I just remember when I was little, you just didn't hear about all of these different type of diseases. You didn't hear about any of this. People just dying every day. Diseases I've never even heard of
Yeah.
back when I was young. Now it's just like, it seemed like every day is something. And it's just
something.
like, where is all this even coming from?
Right.
So yeah. So it's stressful.
Yes, it is.
It's stressful.
Yeah, it's something to manage.
Very stressful.
Definitely. Yeah. So and again, we all go through life, and eventually we leave here, and just like right now, and at this point at least, we have no more parents. You
No.
or I, no more natural biological parents are no longer here. Mine has been let's see, this is 2023. It's been 6 and 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, almost. In fact, this is October, so 2017, so 6 years, just past 6 years that my father passed away, and 7 years since my mother passed away.
Yeah.
And the thing is about that is like, and this, it's always just something that's very surreal to me. I still haven't, even to this day, and I don't know if it has to do with the fact that we live far away, and we haven't been on top of the situation over all these years. But I still have not hit that point of realization. I don't think that both my parents are no longer here. I never had that good cry,
Yeah.
behind either of them.
Yeah. You did.
Just never. It's almost like, sometimes I try to wrap my mind around the fact, that, I can't call them or I can't see them, and that they're just no longer here. It's just really weird, and I think it probably figures into I think it kind of figures, because I have these moments where I think to myself, and I think it kind of figures into my outlook and this very discussion that we're having with coming to grips and facing our own mortality. I think I've just arrived at a point in my life where I've accepted it as a fact of life, and really understanding the circumstances, especially around my mother's passing away, and how she passed away, given the fact that she chose to be a smoker, a cigarette smoker, her entire life, and and the ironic thing was that her diagnosis came out of conversations that we were having, with me talking to her on the phone and like, what's up with this cough, mama, you need to go have that checked out,
right.
And then ultimately, to have it her revealed to me when the diagnosis came down that it was lung cancer.
I mean, is it easier to, well, I don't want to necessarily say easier, but I mean, are you able to accept it better if you know that it's coming? Okay, like with Mom's situation,
right?
We knew that that was going to be inevitable for her, but if we didn't know, even with Dad, because I told you, I'm like, okay, Mom gone, Dad, I just don't see
because they
the
had
test
been
2
together
years,
so
because
long.
I'm like, I don't see Daddy going, So I think I guess with me, if I know that it's coming,
right,
I think I can deal with it a little bit better versus if I'm blindsided with it and had no idea that that it was going to happen. That's for me.
Yeah, I don't think it makes it any easier.
No, not that it
Not
makes
for
it
me.
easier,
Yeah.
but I'm saying as far as like you said, hey, I hadn't even had that good cry yet.
Yeah, and
all of that.
I don't know that I ever will, to be honest. And I think again, because like I say, it's just kind of where I am. I think I've resolved, and especially once they passed away, that was another one of those moments. Kind of like we'll speak to later.
Yeah.
But like in my mother's case, I think being able to accept, what happened with her was maybe was maybe a little bit easier. You know what I'm saying? Not that it was easy, but
right.
understanding, because there's certain things
saying.
it's like, okay, I understood that with her choosing to be a cigarette smoker, that's going to come with risk.
Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and put it out there for those of us who choose to indulge in that level. You have to know that you have to take that risk, especially if you have a family history, hint, of those who suffered from certain illnesses that were caused by certain behaviors, as in cigarette smoking. There's no way from that day, as a matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
You might remember.
You stop smoking.
I see now, like I see people out there that smoke the cigars. They be on
You said, I'm not
social
putting
media and
another one to
stuff.
my mouth.
And this was in 2013 when she revealed that diagnosis. I told you from that point. I said, you know what? I'll never raise another cigar to my mouth.
Yeah, and you have it.
And since that time, and to those who like to indulge, hey, I get it. Used to be my thing. I used to like to enjoy a cigar every now and then. I've never been a serious smoker. Even back then, it was an occasional type thing. But I really used to like to enjoy a cigar and stuff. But when my mother revealed that lung cancer diagnosis, that's all it took for me.
Yeah.
That was it. I said from that day, I will not be lifting another cigar to my face.
Yeah.
And it's been since that time that I still have not.
Yep.
Have not indulged. And it's as cool as it is to watch other people who like to enjoy it. Hey, y'all can enjoy it for me.
And you've been offered too.
Definitely been offered.
Nope.
But it's just not something that I do because of the fact that knowing that my mother passed away from lung cancer, I don't even want to. And that's not to say, you don't have to be a smoker in order to develop lung cancer.
Yeah, with the secondhand smoke.
That happens. It can be secondhand smoke. It can be non-smoking related. It can just be something environmental.
Yeah.
Because we hear, I've heard of people, even in the past couple years, someone who was diagnosed with lung cancer who never smoked a day in their life.
And wasn't even around anyone that was
and probably wasn't, because of the lifestyle they lived, they weren't around many people who smoke cigarettes on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, but nevertheless, you do what you can. And that's something that I've chosen to abstain from in order to remove that or reduce the likelihood of something like that becoming my fate. So, but it is a very surreal thing, man, with not having parents anymore. And it's like, parents are gone, and we got next.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means we are the generation that has everything in front of us now, and we're the next ones to go. By definition, we got next.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Gen X is that generation now.
Yeah.
We still have baby boomers around there, and even
Yeah.
some from the what they call the Great Society. You know, generation prior to that, our grandparents' generation. You know, but yeah, Generation X, we got next. It's a nice little rhyme there, right?
Yeah.
So go get a little rap action going there. So yeah, man, that's what it is. So we have to embrace and accept that because you know our time is coming. So we spoke of those wake up moments, right? And I think another thing that has figured into the attitude that I have today, how I view my mortality or mortality in general, is the fact that I had my own brush with death some years ago due to a strange, unknown illness that it took over a year and a half for doctors to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Right before they finally got to the bottom of what the strange thing was. And you know better than anybody because you watched me almost shrivel to nothing.
Yes.
And change from being who I was, the energetic
guy,
person,
to not able to do anything.
Not able to do anything but lay up, basically bedridden for the most
Yeah,
part,
pretty much.
withering away.
Yes.
And so that was a very tough time. That was now. Oh man, that was now. That was 17 years ago, almost.
Yeah, I think about 17.
Something like that. It was 2004, 2005 time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
about 17 years ago now.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very tough time. And we really didn't expect me to make it. I didn't expect me to make it.
I didn't know really what to think. I was because was pregnant with the boy and in school. And so and having to care for you. So my mind was just all over. I'm just like, hey, I just got to make sure that you were going to be okay.
Right.
So what did that look like? Hey, I'm just going to have to push through, pregnant and all, and that's what I did because just watching you not even being able to open up a water bottle, not even get yourself in the tub, just going to the bathroom. Those basic functions that you were not able to do, and I think that's something with me that I realized even going through my own stuff. When we take that for granted.
Yeah.
I mean, simple things.
Yeah.
Combing your hair, brushing your teeth, putting on your clothes, things that we deem to be very simple until you're not able to do them.
Yeah. Then
you realize, and you have to depend on someone else, that I'm not able to do that. It really messes with you mentally.
I can imagine. So I mean, imagine going through that because I went through a myriad of emotions back during that time, and I was actually preparing myself. I was trying to, in a way, kind of prepare y'all too, and I was just explaining to you, man, it's not something that that I can control, and I kind of felt helpless because I felt like I was letting you guys down, like getting ready to down y'all, right? And but yeah, it was very trying time for me because the things that go through your mind, like I was saying earlier, even though we know we all are going to have our time, when those moments are upon us, there's a whole entire mental thing that happens within us.
Ooh, yes.
With certain levels of depression that you go into and feelings of helplessness and stuff like that, and that you have to constantly dig yourself out of.
Yes.
So I can definitely relate to that.
Because it's easier. Not as easy as it's difficult when you're looking from the outside in. Unless you have gone through what that individual has gone through, it's really difficult to truly understand what one may be thinking mentally as they're experiencing those different challenges. But I was definitely thankful, for the elders in the church. They came over and stuff, and at the time, and all of that was it was very helpful, because it, like you said, it was really rough, and
it was touch and go.
And I was afraid to even ask you how you were feeling about it because I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
don't even, want you to even dwell on. I'm like, we just
Right.
have to get through this in whatever way necessary. And that was kind of just my mindset then.
Yeah, for me, like I said, I kind of had resolved within myself that it was going to be a tough sled for me. You know, it was going to be tough sledding for me. I was more so concerned about y'all at the time, especially the fact that once you had the boy and everything, and he was barely able to he was just getting to the point where he could pull himself up on things and had just started walking. And I was looking at him, and I was like, I got this new child into the world, and of course the daughter was in middle school at the time.
And she was having to help out. It was, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
it
with
was all
him,
hands
it
on
was
deck.
it was looking at him,
Yeah.
and the fact that I was like, I got this new kid in the world,
Yeah.
and of course that had a lot to do with why I named him after me.
Yeah.
Because we were gonna name him something else. We
Right.
were entertaining giving him a different name, but then at a point I said, you know what? When we finally had him, and I was sick at that time when you gave birth to him,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him my name, and the reason I gave him my name was I was not expecting to be here. And so I wanted to make sure that he could carry on my name. So that's why my son is named after me. But anyway, here I am. Here we are,
Yes.
and we're able to talk about it. It's heavy of a topic it is, and even revisiting the whole thing in my mind. And so I guess we could, well, we can get we can kind of maybe touch on your situation as well. But what I would like to say is I think what it has done for me, it really did change my outlook on life. And from that time, I can honestly say that from that time, I think I've been a different person
Yeah.
as far as my attitude toward life and aggressiveness.
Yeah.
That I view things from.
Yeah,
And
I
so
agree with
I'm
that.
sure, a lot of people who come across me, even on social media, and how I engage with people. Some people might, get a sense that I might be a bit aggressive in my approach to things, but that has a lot to do with it. And until once we, when you have to face your mortality at some point, it changes you.
Yes.
It changes you forever, especially when you come through it, right? And anyone out there who's ever faced that type of situation know what I'm speaking to there. And so I think it affected me in a major way since
Yeah.
that time, and I'm glad that it has, because it's helped me see things through a different lens. And I think ultimately it's a plus.
Yeah. I agree.
Not only for me, but for you all as well, and for those who have come behind me. But so that was my my wake up moment. And so I imagine you, with the things that you have gone through over the past years now.
Yeah.
It's been almost 10 years since you started experiencing your situation.
Oh,
You want to talk about that a little
13.
bit?
Yeah, 13. Really, 2010 is really when it started up.
First started kicking off.
Yeah, just really didn't know what was going on, and just back and forth, to the doctors, different specialists, different tests, trying to figure everything out. Frustrating, because a great deal of pain daily, to the point almost, just not even barely able to function. But I was glad that, number one, I advocated for myself as far as, okay, there's a problem, let me go to the doctor, because many of us, we don't do that. We'll be experiencing pains, maybe see something's not right, and we don't go to the doctor to get it checked out. I did do that, and it went on for years and years, and then I clear up one situation, and then something else comes up. I get through that, then something else pops up. So this has been going on now all the way up through really this year. Even now I'm still dealing with stuff, but for me, because there's been so many different illnesses that I have gone through over the years since 2010, some of them impacted me more than others, but I'll say that. And I'll also say that I'm just thankful for the support that I had with you and the kids, because mentally I was in a dark space. Now, I never was thinking, okay, I'm going to die. Never had suicidal ideations or anything like that. but I had my own mental pity parties in my head. Like, why me? Why am I going through this? And it was tough, and I had to dig myself out of that as I laid there dealing with the pain on all type of medications, trying to help with the pain. It was taking a toll on me. And so I had to tell myself, what am I fighting for? I got my family here. They need me here. Let me do whatever I need to do so that I can get through this. It was a struggle, but I'm thankful. And hopefully, if anyone out there that's going through any type of medical issues or have medical conditions that you're going through, that you have a support system, because to me that's really important. Because when I was not able to do for myself, I had my husband and my daughter and even our son who was able to help me. That went on for a while because I just didn't have the strength or the energy to do very simple tasks. And so that was mine. It's a daily thing with me as far as the mental strain that it has on me, and dealing with that, the stress, frustration, anger. You go through a myriad of different emotions as you're going through different illnesses, at least for me. And so I'm learning how to each day to be able to try to better control it, and trying to think of what can I do to try to minimize me dealing with different symptoms that's going to make my situation worse. So that's kind of what I've been going through, but it was rough, I will say.
Yeah, and the thing is like, conditions can get you. Anything can take us. And so it's a matter of, like you said, another big part of that is the advocacy, having yourself aligned with good doctors.
Yes.
And of course, I realize that, and I'm thankful that we have, outstanding health care at this point, because I don't know where we would be without it. We might not be here.
We might not. That is definitely true.
So that's the key.
That's the key
But
part.
I would like to hope that there's ways out there for us, even for those of us who are not as privileged as we have been, can find that care or be able to advocate.
And that's the
for
biggest
themselves.
that's the biggest piece. You have to advocate. With me, I don't just go in there and just whatever the doctor say, oh, okay, and that's what it is, and I leave. No, number one, I'm already doing some research before I get there. And then so I know if they're not saying I'm gonna order this type of test or this type of test, I'm already saying this is what I want, because I want to be able to get to the bottom of what's going on. You must advocate for yourself, and especially many of us who don't really go to the doctor a lot because you haven't really dealt with any type of medical conditions. You go there, the doctor, they'll just send you away with a prescription and just send you on your way. And a lot of times you may need to dig a little bit further, because what they may say you have may not be what you have. That was the case with me.
And then especially, and again, it goes back to the insurance thing.
Yeah.
Doctors will play you a certain way. If you're not coming
true.
up in there with good insurance,
That's true,
And
too.
then I'm sure a lot of people, they feel powerless.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm of this particular economic status, so I don't have this level of coverage.
Yeah.
I can't stand up for myself. I'm basically at the mercy of this doctor.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be. I understand
Not
that
at all.
there's a cost that's associated with it. But I think all the time, what would I do in a situation if I didn't have the insurance that I have? I'd be trying to think up some other way. I mean, one thing I got skills.
Yeah.
I'm a technical professional. You need somebody to come in there and design a database for you or manage it. Yeah, like they say, we'll work for food.
Right.
If you need some database work done on your system.
Yeah.
When I come through this, you can contract me out 10 hours a week to pay you back for this health care that you're getting me to save my life or my family member's life,
Because it could be the difference between life and death.
Yeah, I really do think in those terms. I never said that to you,
Yeah.
but I think like that sometimes. It's like, hey, give me a laptop. I can be in the bedridden in the hospital. Give me a laptop. Set up me an account.
I can get to work.
Get me, and we're gonna do. You need to have some tuning done on that database so it performs faster. Okay, but no, I think like that.
But
So,
I go for my annual every year. Now it's important, that we do that. I know a lot of people
Right.
don't, follow up annually. So again, just trying to be proactive and be ahead, because a lot of times you may can catch something that you don't even know that you have. You can catch it early,
Right.
if you're getting your annual physical exams and stuff. So,
Yeah.
that's
Colonoscopies.
yeah,
What's the colonoscopies? What's the other big one? For men,
for
prostate
men the prostate.
exams.
Yeah.
Hey, fellas, get on out there, man. Get it done. You
Yeah,
know.
a couple of
But
my friends say,
a lot of
they have
things
men that
are
don't want to get
preventable.
that. Yeah,
Hey,
they don't want to get
there's
that.
no need to check out of here before we need to because we're afraid to go
Yeah,
get that digital
yeah. Then that's
exam.
why they don't
Because
want to get it.
once you get it done and you have that baseline established, you can have more of a peace of mind. You
Mm-hmm.
know that things are okay, and if something was to happen, they can get ahead of it because they understand the progression of things. And if they identify that you're good at this point, then you have a starting point that you can feel comfortable about. And if you go so often,
Mm-hmm.
then chances are they're gonna save you.
Yeah.
And that's what's most important. That's where I am.
And with
You know.
women, making sure we get our pap smears,
Yeah.
OBGYN, and getting our breast exams
Yeah.
for
Oh
breast
yeah.
cancer,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
those two things, they're just on the rise. Making sure we're just being proactive with that.
So that's all. That all goes back to that thing. The concept of acceptance and fearlessness. I think that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to describe there, and the point that we want to make. It's a matter of accepting that we're mortal human beings,
Mm-hmm.
and then approach it from a fearless perspective, as scary as it is.
Yeah.
Because none of us want to deal with the fact that we got to leave here one day, but it's
Mm-hmm.
something that's guaranteed to each and every one of us, like we
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
And so it's up to us to even push through all of that apprehension and that fear to just become fearless about it, even though we may not feel totally brave.
Right.
To kind of, you just have to force yourself to push
Yeah.
through things.
Yes.
And that involves things like just being prepared on various fronts. When you're talking about from a legacy perspective,
Mm-hmm.
those who come after you, your kids or
Yeah.
spouses or other family members that you may leave behind, you want to make sure that you have things straight at all times.
Yeah.
And just like us, we have our things that we do where we make sure we have current wills.
Mm-hmm.
That we have wills in place, and then we have our JIC document, our JIC folder,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And JIC stands for, that's JIC, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have a JIC document
Mm-hmm.
that we have that has all of our key information on it that we would need to be concerned with. If should one of us leave here in an untimely fashion.
Yeah.
That way, that takes less of a burden
Right.
off the person that's behind to try to figure out what's what and where's
Yeah.
where.
Right.
And am I straight?
Right.
Am I not straight?
Mm-hmm.
So that type of stuff is very important. So
Very.
we do that, and it's something that I review every year. We take and we break it out, and we say, okay, here's what it was last year.
Right.
This is what it is this year.
Updated if need be.
And where information needs to be updated, we update it and refile it. And again, it's not something that you feel comfortable about or that you necessarily enjoy doing, but you do it nevertheless because you have people that you're leaving behind, and hopefully you're leaving them in a good, a decent situation. I mean,
Right.
obviously, if you're passing away, that's not a good situation. But like I always joke with y'all here and there, I was like, I if I go, just take this. I understand you might be a little sad, but what do I try to encourage y'all to do? Just take this.
Take we'll have the money.
Take whatever money you
The
got
life
and
insurance.
just
Yeah,
enjoy life.
enjoy, yeah.
Make the most of it.
I
You'll
mean,
get
yeah,
over it because
yeah.
it's something that each of us we're going to face.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess that's one of those ways that I just try to take and lighten, I guess, the moment or the mental load, I guess, and if that time comes, I want you to reflect back upon that. It's like
Yeah.
realizing that, hey, it is what it is. I can't do nothing about it. I can't bring this person back, but you know what? It's a fact of life. So now let me see how I can take what it is that we've built and what's here,
And
for
move
us in
it
this
forward.
situation and
move
move
forward.
and pay it forward and make sure that I enjoy the best quality of life that I can for me and mine.
Because you can actually, even though the death will be hard, I think you'll be able to deal with it a little bit better knowing that you're not going to be in financial ruins
Yeah,
because you're not able to bury the person probably because there's no money
Right.
or whatever the case. So because to have that a financial
Right.
issue on top of losing a
Right.
person,
Right.
yeah,
And it's good that you bring that up because I think about things like funerals and
Mm-hmm.
memorials and how we place a lot, at least from a cultural perspective in our society. We do the funeral thing here, a lot of
Yeah.
memorials and stuff. Other societies, they're more into cremation and stuff like that. They don't worry. And I guess it's a personal preference, I guess.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I alluded to in another episode, a lot of people, they expect to have funerals when they're not leaving behind any funeral money.
right.
You
Because
know,
funerals
so
cost; they are not
funerals
free.
cost, and so we don't think about that.
Yeah.
So if we're departing here
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to leave it up to our family to then go try to scrape up all these funds and give us this elaborate funeral,
Mm-hmm.
when we didn't care enough about our own existence here to
Yeah.
at least try to lighten that load on them. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we've actually had these discussions, and I don't know, I could drop dead today, and I don't know, you might decide that, I'm gonna have a funeral for this dude or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but I know we've just kind of informally, at least, and we haven't made that a part of our will because
Right.
I don't think that particular piece isn't important enough
Yeah.
to put into a will like
No.
that, saying I'm demanding to have this
Yeah.
as far as because I'm gonna be out of consciousness, out of mind.
Right.
If you toss me into a ditch or cover me in battery acid and watch me dissolve away or burn me in a crematory or whatever, I'm not gonna know.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
people I've in the past I've thought about that. Be like, man, I don't want to go in no chamber. It might hurt. But
You're gonna be dead, so you're not even gonna feel it.
But those are things that over the years you
Yeah.
you kind of have to learn how to process all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, even having this discussion right now, you try to figure out ways to process it because
Mm-hmm.
that's part of that surrealness of the whole thing. It's like, one day this is going to be me.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to be, out of body, out of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be up to those I leave behind to under that stress and that pressure to decide what it is that they want to do with me. But like I've expressed to you, and we've kind of all just kind of agreed that what, we're not going to make a big deal about it. If you want to cremate me, then
That's what I said.
then that's
I know you
that's
spend all
what
that
you
money
do.
on the funeral.
Because otherwise you're tossing $10,000-$15,000
$20,000,
up to now.
$30,000 to
Now,
the
maybe
funeral.
not that much for well, you can be
It
elaborate.
depends,
You can
yeah,
be that elaborate,
yeah.
but I think the average funeral nowadays probably runs up with close to $10,000. A cheap one will get you. Well,
That's
I
just
remember,
the casket. That's probably not even the tombstone. or
like I
anything,
think
the headstone.
I think my mother's funeral was about both my parents was about $3,000 and something. So you can get a cheaper funeral for a few $1,000s, but even still, that's not cheap. You're
Right.
literally tossing that money into a ground. Well, fortunately, also for my parents, we didn't have the burial expense because my father was a veteran.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was not a portion of it. So we
so
just
if
had
you're
to
not
pay
that,
for the
then
service
you got to
and the
pay for
coffin.
everything outright.
Yeah, but for those people who are not that fortunate to have
Right.
a plot, for them and stuff like that, you got to pay for burial. And you're talking a piece of real estate that you're buying.
And then
that-
how often are people going over to the cemetery to visit the person? I mean, you're going over there weekly, putting flowers. Some people bury their people and they don't make it back over
they
there.
never go there.
So my whole point in that, you done pay however $5,
For that
$10,
piece of real estate,
$15,000
for that 6 foot deep by, I don't know, 5 foot wide
Yeah.
by 7 feet long. I don't know what the dimensions of
Right.
a burial
That's
plot
how
is,
cremate
but
mean.
that's a piece of
Keep
real estate
moving.
that you're buying and you paid for in perpetuity that probably, I wouldn't be surprised if cemeteries after so many decades and generations, they go dig up people because they figure, this person is long dead, and the person that
But
paid
you
for them
remember
to be buried,
that
they're
one,
dead,
that
so we
case
can
in
dig them up
Virginia.
and resell it.
Yeah, that case in Virginia. I mean,
That's another thing. You just feel like, why should I pay somebody $10,000 to throw me into the ground? Literally toss that money into the ground when that could be wealth that you could pass on to a family member. Maybe they can go start a business or something like that.
Right.
$10,000 can help somebody start a business.
It's a lot of money.
And create some generational wealth. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing is, like I said, it's just that's what happens when you get into these discussions. Though.
Right.
The whole thing is just crazy, and but it's something that you have to talk about. But these are conversations that we've had, and we haven't placed a big, huge, to do about, funeral ceremony.
I mean,
and all
it can minimize a lot of confusion. You
Yes,
know,
it
it can turn into family drama if you wasn't specific about what you want, because you may give some family members, oh, I want to cremate them, no, I want a burial. So I think just eliminate all the confusion, people clear about what it is, and then
Right.
that can just make things go a whole lot smoother, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, otherwise you have folks. It's like I'll just say this. I had a conversation with somebody recently. It was a family member, and I won't say who it is, but I was having a conversation with them, and they made a statement about about what they want by way of ceremony and stuff like that. And I was thinking because of the situation. I was thinking because of the situation. I was like, and I didn't say this to him, but I was really tempted to say it to him. And this is my attitude because I've said this before. I was like, I mean, they were very adamant about I'm not gonna have nobody doing this to me or whatever, or they got to do this for me, or I want my funeral to be such and such. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you got some funeral money set aside or a life insurance policy to cover this,
Right.
because I feel like, and this is my honest to God opinion about this, if an individual is here now, and unless you got it, if you got it, fine. If you have a family that has it, and they got the money, they can reach into their pocket and pay for a funeral, whatever. And I'm talking without having to pass around the hat and guilt trip people
Right.
into paying for your funeral.
Right.
I think it's not unreasonable for people to understand that you just might end up on somebody's medical school table.
Oh my God.
I mean, Harvard needs cadavers, or University of Chicago, or I know it sounds macabre. I'm sorry, but I'm serious though. I mean, medical science. It's like if
They did that on the program that I watched. It was exactly that too.
For
It was
real?
crazy, yeah, because they actually take it from actual events and stuff, and it was exactly that.
I mean, help humanity.
Yeah.
Right? Contribute your body to science.
Oh, man.
If they need to be able to, doctors need to train, and they
Yeah.
need those cadavers, or they need to study this or that. I mean, if you didn't think highly enough of yourself to put at least a burial policy in place so that your family doesn't have to be burdened with burying you, and then you're expecting somebody to go all out for you to give you this elaborate funeral or whatever, and toss you into the ground in a nice coffin or whatever. I just kind of think that's kind of unfair.
Yeah.
I just think that if you ain't got a policy out there to cover yourself, man, your family might end up on a medical school table.
And then you can say what
mean-
you want. You can say I want this, I want that, but you don't really know what's gonna happen because you won't be alive to see it. So they can do whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if a burial policy means you have to get buried with it, but
Right. I mean, they can do
can
whatever.
they can take that money from that policy you got, and they
Right.
buy them a little car or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Go to the casino or something. Try to flip it. Play the lotto.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But anyway, it's one of those things. So, but all we can do is make the most of the time that we have, and that's kind of my attitude toward life. Just make the most of the time we have and accomplish what we can. Just be the best people that we can be, and that's hard enough in and of itself. Is just being a good person, But as we live and we mature, I would like to think that though we're not perfect, we continue to strive to just be the best people we can be and be the best that we can be for humanity, and try to leave somewhat of a mark. Let our goods be more than our bads, I guess, right?
Yeah, and for me, on top of that, going through the different medical issues just kind of forced me to have to re-look at some things, my eating habits, exercising. I mean, I was exercising before, but I will fall off. Oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Eating, I was in a lot of junk food, pop, ice cream, candy, potato chips, and all that stuff. And when I started, going through the serious medical issues, having allergic reactions to medications and stuff, and it really messed me up. I was forced. I didn't when I say then the next medical issue I came up on, I was really forced because I was really trying to narrow down why I was still dealing with some of the problems, and so I had to switch my switch how I was eating, and really exercise more and eat more clean. I'm eating cleaner now. I wasn't eating clean before, somewhat, but not to the degree that I am now. Now I'll still have a snack or two, but
or three or four.
No, it's not that many. It's not that many.
Okay.
But then I had to switch to basically, pescatarian slash somewhat vegan, kind of dairy free type. But those are adjustments that I had to make because that is what's helping me to feel better. So sometimes we find that we may have to make adjustments. Be it you may have to start exercising if you wouldn't, or you may have to change your eating habits if you haven't done so already, just to be able to make sure that you can maintain good health.
Definitely the exercise, and that's something that we are big on in this house. I mean, check a brother out, But
yeah, all of us.
No gut.
Yeah, all of us. Mine's has gone down a lot. I'm happy about that.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
But something that we obviously take very seriously is our physical fitness and stuff like that. So, and that's another thing, because I never forget when I first came through my situation back some years ago. Now I've been living this lifestyle like this. Of course, being in the military, I had to do PT and stuff like that.
Right.
But beyond that, after I had gotten out, it's like I'm in better shape now. In fact, I'm in better shape at my age now than I was in my 20s when I was in the military. Like I can outrun myself at this age compared to when I was in my 20s in the military.
Even when
I was training recruits.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I can definitely outrun myself. I was not as solid cardiovascular wise, running distance and stuff like that. And the time, like I run a better time now. Like they had, I think it was a mile. It was, I think they might have raised it to 2 miles. In the Navy, you had to run for PT tests. It was like one and a half miles when I first got in. But I can run that mile and a half faster now than I could when I was in my 20s.
Oh wow.
So yeah, but that is what motivates me. A lot of times when I'm out there, when I'm running that road and it gets tough, when I'm running those miles at a time, it's always playing in my mind that I'm trying to live. I'm just trying to prolong life and live the best quality of life so that I'm here for that boy and for you and for daughter and stuff like that. And that's what I kind of use as motivation. While, I understand that, yes, I'm mortal and my time is going to come. I want to age as gracefully as possible, and I want to try to be as fit as I can be for as long as I can be.
Right, me too.
And so that's my motivation. And plus, I like the way it looks on me. I like being my age, and still looking just as young as some of these young dudes out here that are 20 years younger than me, and definitely in better shape than a lot of them.
And we're seeing an increase with strokes and heart attacks. I mean, that is really on the rise. And so, a lot of it, even though it could be family history, but can be traced back to eating. Yeah. Our eating habits.
So, that exercise, that's part of that self-preservation thing.
Yes.
I view that. And another thing that we kind of alluded to earlier is just the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Especially in these here United States of America. It's violent out there.
Yes.
So I commit myself, and that's another thing that changed about me, I'm sure. I call it my GAF quotient, GAF, which stands for give. My GAF quotient has really changed over the years coming through my situation. It's helped me to stand for less garbage, from people and situations. It's like I know who I am. I've gotten to the point where I don't fear death or my own mortality, because I was at its doorstep some years ago. And so now when I look at situations and I look at people, and the way they move and the way they operate and stuff like that, my attitude is just like, whatever. When I leave out of the door of our house every day, my goal is to come home.
Right.
And I'm committed to coming home at all costs.
Yeah, that's my
so
goal too.
And so I govern myself accordingly when I step outside those doors. I don't engage in conflicts with people. I'm generally nice to people. I keep things on a level. I don't surround myself in ignorant, crazy situations, and being around those type of crowds. And so, along with it, but at the same time, I'm not going out there to tolerate that type of thing from any external force.
Yes, no foolishness.
So my goal is to make it back home. And so I translate that to various aspects of my life in dealing with people and how I approach situations and how I navigate, how I strategize things, how I communicate with people.
Exactly.
I make sure that I stay committed in that regard, because one thing I'm not going to do is allow myself to be taken away from here by some scumbag or somebody who who has nothing to live for, and who chooses to not contribute anything of substance or of impact in a positive manner, to other people's worlds or to society.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, no, I'm totally committed to that. I will not, if I can help it. I'm not submitting to that thing at all.
Right.
So, there you go. So yeah, we can get ready to wrap this up. It's been a little bit heavy at times, but closing points is that when it all comes down to it, as we said, we all gonna have our time, and it's just a matter of us just accepting it and being honest about it with ourselves, number one, but also the people that are immediately in our lives.
Right.
Just going forward in a spirit of hope and just looking forward to what life has for us.
Yes.
And continuing the work that we feel as if we have ahead of us, not only for ourselves, but those who come after us and the broader world around us, right? And so that's really all it comes down to. Things are out of our hands.
Yeah.
And we are to be instructive, to those around us, or for those around us, however you want to put it, two or four, but nevertheless to be instructive, so that people know, what is, I guess, what lies ahead, should or whenever that time comes for us, and to just know, that we love them. We did our best with the time we had here. We made the most of it, and it's now, like I said, we got next.
Yeah.
You pass it on. You pass the torch.
Yep.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Pass
Right.
the torch.
Pass the torch.
And so that's what we have tried to do, and what we continue to try to do to prepare our two, and pass that torch off to them. And we hope that that's what those of you out here who have maybe taken in this podcast, that you do the same.
Yeah.
Pass the torch. Prepare yourself. Go forth. With that level of consciousness, and prepare others and pass the torch. So next week, we are going to be live from Johannesburg. And so we are a week away.
Yes.
And like I said, by the time this airs, we will actually be there. Actually, you know what? No, it won't, because this is going to air before we leave. So we'll be here. Yeah, this is going to air Tuesday.
Oh.
We're no longer
a
week ahead,
almost
almost 2 weeks ahead. So
Okay.
so by the time you all hear this, we'll be preparing to jet out of here next weekend. So, but the next episode after this will indeed be live from Johannesburg. So we're looking very forward to that. We kind of talked about it. We'll probably do another promo to have out there. We'll do a promo real quick. But so that's it. And there ain't much left to say about that. We're just looking forward.
Yes.
And so, as we like to say, at the end of the day, it's
Mel
and me. And this has been
the podcast. I know you
got
looking
right
to see if I was gonna say
This is the last
it. Mess up.
Yeah.
I did it.
All right. That's it.